Hey, have you ever heard the one about the skull? What do you call a skull on fire? A hothead. Haha. And do you know what the problem is when it catches fire? Well, it loses its head. In today's tutorial, we're going to draw and animate the classic flaming skull in Arttista. So let's get started. This was the skull I started out drawing. It looked pretty good, until I took a look at all the flaming skull references I found on Google. That's when I realized I didn't actually know how to draw skulls. So I decided to keep testing and experimenting until I finally came up with the following shape and technique. I start by drawing this unusual shape, which looks a lot like the number 1. But what shape is it going to become? I wouldn't believe it either if I hadn't made it myself. And this music, it's making me really nervous. Next, I add this almost oval-shaped black form behind the first shape I drew, and adjust the point a little more. Continuing, I duplicate these two shapes, flip them horizontally, and move them a little further to the left. Oh my god, they're the eyes. The skull's eyes are staring at me. Let's draw the head like this. Wait a minute, it looks like an alien. Let's fix that. I set the same color for everything that's going to be bone. Next, I'm going to select these 2 points here and reduce their size all the way down so the stroke disappears. This makes it look like these shapes are part of the skull rather than separate shapes. Now it's time to draw the nose. It turned out scary, scarily bad, but nothing that Arttista's simplified tool can't fix. There we go, much better. On the timeline, I'm going to create 3 keyframes, one at the beginning, one in the middle, and one at the end. Now, carefully on the first frame, I'm going to move the entire face to the side. I'll also make the left eye smaller to match the perspective. The same goes for the nose. Everything needs to be moved and resized so it looks like the skull is turned to the side. I'm also changing the position of the left eye, moving it farther away from the eyebrow. This is because if the skull existed in the real world, from this perspective and at this angle, the eye would be slightly farther away from this area of the eyebrow. So I select the entire face and press F2 to interpolate. And so far, we have this animation from the starting frame to the middle frame. We should also adjust these lower points, the part of the bone that supports the teeth, to follow the rotation. I'll clear the animation from this frame onward, and now it's time to do the same thing we did before, but this time on the final frame. We'll adjust the right eye and reposition the other elements to make it look like the skull keeps turning in that direction. Now it's time to heat things up. For that, you'll need to watch this Arttista tutorial on YouTube, how to draw and animate cartoon fire. Once you've watched it, the steps that follow will be much easier to understand. I create a new track just for drawing and animating flames. I draw the large flame that will stay in the background using red or dark orange. Then I duplicate that flame to create a smaller one in yellow or a very light orange, and adjust the smaller flame so that it always stays inside the larger one. I select both flames and paint the firelight inside them, covering the lower part. Then I change the background color to black. I use the eraser to create an animation at the tips of the flames, making the flames flicker and break apart. This is what we have so far. I should probably make several small flames, each one different from the others, but I was so lazy that I simply copied a yellow flame, duplicated it several times, and adjusted their positions so they always follow the lighting on the face. When animating fire, after this step, I like to create a keyframe between every 2 keyframes and randomly tweak a few points on each flame. This gives them a much more natural and unpredictable look. Remember that brush I used to paint the light inside the flames at the bottom? Now let's select it, along with the skull and the face, and press Ctrl plus J to merge them together. Now, take a look at the result. At the bottom of the flame animation, we're going to slightly stretch the fire horizontally on a few frames, giving it a subtle horizontal growth. Now, Let's change the fill color of the eyes and nose to the same yellow as the flames, but slightly darker. Let's also change the color of the eyebrow bones and skull to a dark, fiery red. The outline color should be something bright that closely matches the color of the flames. And this is what we have so far. Let's draw a crack in the skull. It shouldn't have an outline, and its fill color should be the same yellow as the flames. To animate it, I used the first track, which had the starting, middle, and final keyframes. On each of them, I did something similar to what we did with the face, bending the crack and resizing it horizontally so that it follows the movement of the skull. I decided to heat things up a little more, pardon the pun, and use the brush to paint some extra light onto the skull, especially on the parts closest to the flames. Finally, for all the objects in the animation, I made small adjustments to some of the keyframes. On some of them, I added a slight rotation to give the skull a bit more movement and make it feel more natural, similar to the subtle motion you'd see while walking or floating through a cemetery. Ooh, spooky. And finally, this is our result. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, don't forget to like and share this video. It really helps our beloved little software, Arttista, grow. Red heart. And I'm sorry about anything if I scared you during the tutorial. I don't know about you, but tonight I'm sleeping with the lights on.